Elevations. Cloudy skies with a low of 29. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 40 with an overnight low of 24 for Thursday night. By Friday, mostly sunny skies with a high of 35. And for the weekend, mostly sunny. Highs are going to be in the low to mid-30s. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebed's Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. And brought to you by Roger and the crew over at K&R Rental. I don't care if you need a log splitter or a heater or sewer snakes or any kind of equipment. It's all there. The best of tools and equipment for rental at K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678-3122. Wow. We've got a busy day ahead, and we've got Dave Beagle on the air. We've got Megan Barth from Las Vegas coming back on the air. We had a 10:06 guest. This frustrates me in this business. And they decided till this morning to just basically cancel about maybe 10 minutes before the program and say, oh, well, we can't today. We've got to do it another day. Those are the things that irritate me a little bit. So at 10:06, we're hoping that we can get a special guest on. And in regards to National Law Enforcement Day, and we salute all of our policemen, sheriffs, deputies, everybody, National Law Enforcement Day today. And then at 10:32, Ryan Morrow, a good old buddy of this program, is going to be on there. So we've got a lot of things cooking here today. I want to remind you about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call and ask questions if you need to, 678-0459. For all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, it's Ramsey Heating and Electric. Don't forget, I mean all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. They've been in business over 6 decades, serving you. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. If you are in Burley today and hungry, which, of course, I'm going all over the country and I'm always hungry, I suggest that you stop in and take my advice, and stop into Denny's restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. Go on in, sit down, take the menu and go, whoa, wow, does that look good? Oh, my goodness, Martha, look at this. Does that look good? Yes, great menu, delicious menu choices at Denny's restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. America's Diner. Thomas and the crew serving you, and always with a big smile on their face, with the most delicious food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time, at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland, excuse me, in Burley. I've had that doggone frog in my throat for months. Wheels, everything sounds really good. Thank you, young man. I appreciate your help. Wheels over at our main studio is our board operator / engineer. And he'll take your calls at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to ask my audience this morning, and I want you to help me on this. I'm going to ask you a question. And I don't want to pry into your expenses. I don't want to pry into your costs and bills or anything else. But I just want to ask you a question. What would you do right now this morning if you had an additional, let's say over the last 10 years, $120,000 in your pocket that had accumulated over the last 10 years? Well, if you're like me, I probably would take and pay off any of the remaining bills I had. I would probably go do something nice with Deanna and myself. And then I would put the rest in either some of my investments or in savings. That's what I would do. Well, the reason I asked that question, what would you do with $120,000? I'm going to break this down for you, and you'll probably notice as we go along on this, I'm going to get madder and madder and I do not apologize. So before I lose my temper, I'm also going to do some quick commercials and then come back to that. But think about that, $120,000 over the last 10 years, and I'll show how I came up with that figure momentarily. Don't forget our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, Nick Greenwell and all the great folks over there, great physical therapists serving you at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. They know all the exercises. They know everything about how to get you back to being you. And they got the hydrotherapy pool. Oh, my goodness. All you have to do is just call, make an appointment at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, serving you and making sure that you get back to being you. Don't forget, next Tuesday at 9:46, it is the Ag Minutes put on by Stoats Equipment Company, your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland and Burley, with great, great personable people serving you at Stoats Equipment Company. That's right, your John Deere dealer in Burley. Don't miss that. Okay, let's break this down as to why I'm asking you this question. Let's just say that you have been spending $1,000 a month. Caller, I'm going to take your call real quick, because I want to get into the story. So go ahead, you're on the air, real fast.
Before you get too mad, I want to get in with the senior center menu today. It's birthday anniversary dinner, which means we're going to have turkey dressing and mashed taters and gravy and green beans and cranberry sauce and yummy dessert. And I need to correct something I said yesterday. I said today was toenail day. It's not. It was last week. Sorry about that misinformation.
Oh, that's all right.
Out of here, and I will let you get to your next item.
Joe, God bless you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope somebody gives you a pedicure even though we're a week late.
Well, maybe next month.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. All right, let's get into this. And I really want your participation. Like I said, let's just say that you were spending $1,000 a month for health care insurance. Now, you say to yourself, well, I'm not spending nearly that much, or others might be saying I'm spending even more. I used $1,000 because, quite frankly, with some of the health problems that I have had, and also my wife, we are spending over the last 5 years easily $1,000 a month. So at $1,000 a month, times, of course, the 12 months out of our year, that is $12,000 per year based on a 10-year average, $120,000 in the last 10 years out of my pocket to protect me, my wife, and my family. It's my responsibility and my obligation. But now, and this is where I about threw my Tony Lama right through the big window last night. But now in New York and in California, they have already passed bills. New York is a done deal in New York City with de Blasio, the mayor, to provide full health care coverage to illegal aliens at our expense. I want to let that soak in for a minute. You've worked hard for your money, and you've worked doggone hard to pay your bills. I know I have. You've worked extremely hard to make sure the protection for your family is there in case of a calamity, whether it's a major surgery, whatever the problem might be. And you've paid your way. And now the states of California and New York are going to begin providing full health care coverage to illegal aliens. That's where I'm asking you this morning. Where is the fairness? Where is the equity? Deanne and I have had numerous health issues, and we have paid our share for our insurance, our responsibility. What about you? Are you going to sit back and not call me and voice your opinion and just say, oh, gee, I think it's wonderful that they're going to give illegal aliens that should not be here in this country free, full health insurance coverage. When you and your neighbor and Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred and me, we've worked and sweated and worried about where the money was going to come from to pay for ours. But we as American citizens, it doesn't seem like we matter anymore. We are just kind of a cash till to the Democrats and the left. Oh, well, if you can afford yours, you can afford to pay for somebody else's. What are your thoughts? This absolutely made me so mad last night. I was outraged to think that we are giving to people that shouldn't be here in the first place. They are lawbreakers. They are illegal aliens, and there's no other way to slice the cake. Your thoughts, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I hope somebody doesn't call and give me this mamby-pamby lefty. Oh, well, those poor people, they want what we have. Yeah, they want what we have, but they don't want to work for it. They want us to pay for it. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Oh, my goodness sakes, yes, they can take care of your animals, whether they're big or small. They love them all and take care of them. Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, the whole crew, they really care about the health of your livestock and your pets. And I go back and I keep saying this every day, please, water is so important at this time of the year, don't let it freeze overnight and think, oh, well, they had some yesterday afternoon, they'll be okay. No, they need a lot more water in these colder temperatures. So please remember that. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn, 678-1177, where they have the warm hearts for the cold noses. I am shocked, really, that somebody hasn't called on this this morning. Because when you think of all the money that you have spent out of your pocket to protect yourself, take pride in that. I do. And then now California and New York want to give it, not to citizens, but to illegal aliens. Caller, good morning.
Yes, I'm driving a school bus just to pay for health insurance.
Okay, and I salute...
This is bull crap. I told the insurance the other day, if I was from another country, I could have free insurance.
Yes.
In my own country, I can't get insurance. And I'm livid. Livid.
Well,
That's all I have to say.
Well, God bless you.
A free country anymore. Thank you to the Democrats and Obamacare.
Amen.
They all need to be hung.
Amen. Thank you, ma'am. See, right there's the case in point. People that take care and responsibility and want to meet and fulfill their needs to their family, they work hard, they take on extra jobs, whatever the case might be. I would love to have some of the years back that I was traveling on the road trying to make a living in my career and stay closer to home to be with Jake and Toby and Deanne. But no, I had to go out, pay the bills, and pay my own way. But now they want to give it to illegal citizens or illegal aliens that are not citizens. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. I'm a little bitter, too. I started working before I was of age to work. I lied about my age so I could, and I paid insurance ever since I was a kid. When I got a car, I put insurance on my car, and I kept it there. I had life insurance all my life. I've had health insurance all my life. I paid my own bills. And I feel that if I can do it, anybody can do it. And when I started working, I worked for way less than $1 an hour.
Oh, I know what you mean. Oh, for heaven's sakes, I agree with you.
My responsibility.
Absolutely.
And there's another thing I'm real fed up about. It's this baloney about the wall. It's not about the wall. Every person in this country has one prime responsibility. And I don't care whether you're a president, a senator, a congressperson, or just the guy that rakes a yard in your backyard. You have the responsibility of protecting this country.
That's right.
That's everybody's responsibility in this country. And one of the responsibilities of protecting our country is protecting our borders. Our laws should be so strict on coming in here illegally, nobody would do it.
Jerry,
what we need to do, the wall will never stop them because it'll never get completed.
I'm afraid you might be right. Thank you, Jerry. God bless you for your call, and I thank you for your call because you amplified exactly the emotion that I felt last night when I heard this story. I'm just livid about this. Thank you. God bless you.
Well, you know, one thing that really upset me last night is we will not give $1 to protect our border. That person that said that should be expelled from this country. Every benefit she's ever gained from it should be taken away, and anybody else that talks like that should have the same thing happen to them.
I agree. Jerry, thank you. Appreciate your call. God bless you, man. Thanks. You know, I heard a comment last night by I got to watch my mouth this morning because I'll tell you, folks, with my German temper, sometimes when it's on the boiling point, words come out of my mouth that sometimes I'll say, I wish I wouldn't have said that. So I got to be really careful here this morning. But I heard a not very bright Democrat say on TV last night, well, we'll go ahead and give them this free health insurance because then by giving them health insurance, then they won't probably go to the emergency room so much and cost us so much more money. Wait a minute, you dim bulb! They shouldn't be here in this country. They're not citizens that should have that kind of gratuity extended to them in the first place. I just do not understand how we could be so dumb collectively as a nation right now. People are breaking the law. People are coming into our country. And yet, we are giving them better amenities and a better lifestyle and saving them a bunch of money by providing them with health insurance and other amenities that our citizens, you and me, have to pay for. Somebody has got to read the book here and start at chapter 1 and figure out that if you're a citizen of the United States, we the people, the Constitution, everything else, but wait a minute, where does it say that illegal aliens coming in here under the cloak of darkness or in the absolute broad daylight, thumbing their nose at our rules, laws, and regulations, they get more than we get? This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Pardon my language, and I do ask you for your pardon, but you're damn right that I'm upset about this. I certainly in the last 10 years, and I just use the last 10 years, it goes further than that, I certainly could use the $120,000 in my Wrangler pocket right now, as I said earlier, for many, many things that I wished I could have had and done with my family. But they went to the health insurance premium that I had to pay for and take responsibility for. And if you think for 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, time's up, that I want to give illegal aliens health insurance, boy, you put a snowball in the oven. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This is completely crazy. Don't forget, on Mondays, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, what a bakery. Oh, my goodness, what a restaurant. Absolutely. Have you eaten there? Great, great food. Cookies, pies, donuts, and muffins, and wedding cakes. Oh, they bake and make everything over there. So don't forget, Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, serving you. I need some more calls. Evidently, you're not outraged about this. Evidently, maybe you just want to keep on paying your premiums and scratching and itching and trying to figure out where the dimes and the nickels are going to add up to pay all the health care premiums coming due to protect you and your family, that's okay. You can scratch and eke out a living, but it's okay to just give it to people that shouldn't be here. Don't forget our friends at Dino Septic Service. Absolutely, they've recently expanded and to better serve you and all of Magic Valley, and they do an absolutely wonderful job. Fast, fair, friendly service, septic tanks pumped, and of course, septic inspections, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, water and sewer lines installed, all of this and so much more. They are really good people, and I'm proud to have them on my program. Number to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. As I said, fast, fair, friendly service with that big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino Septic Service, you be sure and get a hold of them today. I just don't understand what's going on. Nancy Pelosi and Mr. Straight Man, Chucky Schumer, the Nan and Chucky show last night, standing there looking like a very poor portrait of American Gothic. The only thing that was necessary last night to make them look even more ridiculous in their rebuttal to President Trump's speech was if Chucky had been holding a pitchfork. You've seen the painting, American Gothic. That's what they look like. Nancy started off with her eyes all aflutter and going around the room. And then Chucky, with one of his bad eyes, continually glaring at the camera. It was absolutely one of the worst rebuttals I've ever heard in my life. Am I prejudiced? Yes, I am. Don't like them. Don't like them. The president laid out exactly what's going on. And this story about giving health care to illegal aliens proves the point even more. They've broken the law to be here. So, they live in a sanctuary city or they live in a sanctuary state like California. Boy, they can be proud. And then they're given all the amenities, many of which get food stamps, many of which have driver's licenses. I can't believe this. And now, free health care. Gee whiz. Don't you wish that maybe somebody would knock on your door and say, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Smith or Mr. and Mrs. Brown, you have paid so diligently over the many years to provide health care for you and your family. Golly, we feel obligated that we're going to give you at least a portion of that money back. Ain't going to happen. Now they're going to probably come after you and me and the American taxpayer and gouge us more out of our Wrangler pocket to pay for the illegals. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Not in a very good mood this morning. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with 1465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli and the Nampa location. I mean, absolutely the best of equipment rentals and retail equipment sales. They've got everything. I mean, they've got the largest selection of rental equipment in southern Idaho, skid steer rentals, all the lift rentals. They've got all the Bobcats. They've got everything. So please get a hold of them today. 3 locations serving you in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. The best Barry Equipment and Rental. You know, I am shocked at this story this morning that it hasn't drawn more of the ire of you, the public, because it's your money. It's your money that is going asunder to basically you're supporting illegal activities here in the United States of America. You really are. With every tax dollar that you pay, the way it sounds to me that the government, with the Democrats, they're going to make sure that that money goes for illicit and illegal activities. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Zeb. It is so totally wrong. We have worked all our lives to do the things that the government wants us to do, and then they turn on us, and it's just wrong. And these people that keep coming in, I'm so tired of it. They think that we owe them, and they're going to come through, even if they have to tunnel under or climb over, demanding that we give them what we have worked all our lives for.
Let me ask you a question, ma'am. You just really led me into another scenario. If you're sitting on your front porch during the summertime, and all of a sudden a truckload of illegal aliens pulls up in front of your house and they start throwing rocks at you and demand that you give them an apple pie and a glass of milk, what are you going to do?
I'm telling them to go to HELQ6.
Well, the point I'm trying to make is these people pulled up to the border of our country. They walked up to the border. They started throwing rocks and trying to injure our Border Patrol agents and demand with thuggery that they come into this country and we take care of them. It's the same thing as asking for a piece of apple pie, is it not?
It's worse even.
Absolutely.
There are so many of them. They think we owe them a living. They better go back to their own country and take care of their own government. Let us worry about ours.
Well, I don't know about the milk of human compassion, but I told many times on this program that I went to the refrigerator and that gallon of milk is gone in mine. I'm fed up with this, but when I heard the states of California...
It's been reached a long time ago.
Amen. When I heard the states of California were going to start providing full health care coverage for illegal aliens, you know as well as I do, if it's on the left coast with California and on the right coast with New York, it's going to start squeezing into the middle this insanity that the American taxpayers should pay for illegal alien health care.
I can't believe that the people we elected are not working for us. They think that we owe them. They got things all screwed up royal.
Well, I certainly appreciate your call because I just thought the phone lines would be jam-packed over this story this morning because this is nothing more than a slap in the face to every American citizen that has tried to pay their bills.
You work hard all your life trying to keep enough so that you can make it from payday to payday, and then these bums try to take it away from us.
Amen. And please, I hope if I pull up in front of your house, you won't chase me away. I'd love to have a piece of your apple pie.
I'm not too good at pies, but I'm really good at cookies.
Oh, sugar cookies with no frosting. Lady, I'll call you later. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Oh, this is not the America that I grew up in. This is not the leadership, and I use that term loosely, that I saw as a juvenile and a teenager and a young adult. Things have gone down the toilet. When you have the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, just such a repulsive person, sit there and say, oh, well, everybody should have full health care, and we're going to provide all illegal or undocumented people free health care service. There was a question raised last night, and I'll ask the question again. To what limit? If they're undocumented and illegal, are they going to be flooding in from Ohio and Florida, Arkansas, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Idaho? Are they going to be going back there and saying, okay, de Blasio, take care of me? You see, the problem is the liberals aren't smart enough to understand that when the money runs out from us'uns, nobody's going to pay the bills anymore. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Sir. Yeah, this infuriates me. It's the Democrats, especially Nancy and Chuck, when they done their rebuttal last night. They lie and can get away with it. They tell falsehoods about people, and they have the anonymity of the House chamber and the Senate chamber where you can't be held liable. That's where we're going wrong. When somebody flat out lies and is, should be liable for their lie, they should be held accountable. And when they can lie and keep getting away with it, and the uneducated people that are more worried about The Bachelor and the Golden Globes and who won this and what singer's singing that song, that's all they're worried about, so they know they have an uneducated public out there that they can manipulate.
Yeah, but Doug, I agree with you, but are we the ones that are at fault? Was it our generation that started to deteriorate in any kind of morality or common sense and passed it on to our kids? I mean, tell me, because I've always tried to pay my bills and work hard and make sure everybody gets paid that I owe money to. You have too. And I guess what I'm saying is, if you needed health insurance, you went out and got it. You made the premium payments or whatever. Or if you were working for someone and it was on a contributory basis, you paid your fair share. But now to just give it to people that are not citizens of this country, I absolutely think this country, the United States of America, has lost it.
Well, they have. They're picking and choosing which laws they want to enforce. And when you start doing that, you do not have a nation of laws. You do not have equal justice under the law when you can pick and choose which ones you want to obey and which ones you don't.
Well, that's true.
If they can pick and choose, why can't the American public pick and choose which ones they want to obey? Like, you have to pay taxes. Baloney. You're mismanaging our money. You use your own money.
Yeah, it would be nice to send a letter to the IRS and say, Dear IRS, I certainly hope you're having a good day. I just wanted to let you know that my wife and I have looked at the situation in this country with illegal aliens coming in and reaping the benefits of my money on basically an illicit receiving of my money, and so therefore I'm withholding any and all checks to the IRS for this year. Thank you, sincerely, Zeb Bell.
Exactly. And isn't it when you aid and abet a lawbreaker, you are guilty of the same law that they're breaking?
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of hand in hand wearing the striped uniform going behind the prison bars, but not in this case. We're aiding and abetting illegality, and we're actually creating more illegality because once this gets out, hey, we can go to California and get free health insurance. Hey, we can go to New York and get free health insurance. Your numbers are going to grow.
Okay. Now, a reality of that is California is losing businesses and residents at a very high rate. So is New York. They're leaving the states because of their taxes and their policies. You would think an educated person that's even made it through high school could figure out, hey, we're doing something wrong here. We're losing revenue because of what we're taxing and how we're taxing it.
No, Doug, wait a minute. You just created the world's biggest oxymoron. You have, really. I'm sorry. You said educated leadership, and then when you're talking about Bill de Blasio or in California, Gavin Newsom, you've created the oxymoron that can't fit in the puzzle. They are not educated. They are not smart.
Very true. They bring up all these feel-good ideas, but fail to run the pencil and the calculator on what it's going to cost and how are we going to pay for it.
Yeah, and right here is the story. Folks, listen to this very carefully because I think it's absolutely true. Nobody can disparage this. The young 29-year-old brat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is a main advocate of this free health insurance for all illegal aliens. And that's the kind of political stance we're seeing the left take, and it's going to grow like a cancer.
It is. It is. She wants to tax people 70 cents on the dollar.
Or more.
Yeah. Okay, so just look at it. You make $100 a day. $70 of that is going to go to the U.S. government, and you're going to have $30 to pay for fuel, food, and your rent. I mean, it does not.
Well, if you're a business owner, what it does is takes your business and puts it out on the street with a for sale sign.
Exactly.
I've got to run, Doug. I've got a weather forecast to get on, but I certainly appreciate your remarks, and I think that your comments were well received. Thank you.
Okay. And everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's support them. Go eat there. You'll definitely be enlightened.
All right. My friend, thank you very much. And right now, I got to scoot to the weather right now, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they are right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. Number to call to make an appointment. And I urge you, if you're having any hearing problems, please know that we've got the best of professionals serving you with Dr. Pickup, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Hunsaker, all at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. The number 312-0957. Please pick up the phone. Call them now. Here's the weather forecast with Gina.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Wednesday. We're expecting mostly cloudy skies for today. Just a slight breeze. We could see gusts as high as 20 miles an hour out of the east. Other than that, expecting a high of 41. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of rain, possible snow showers in the overnight hours, especially up in the higher elevations. Cloudy skies with a low of 29. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 40 with an overnight low of 24 for Thursday night. By Friday, mostly sunny skies with a high of 35. And for the weekend, mostly sunny. Highs are going to be in the low to mid-30s. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebedee Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And believe me, they want you to be sure and give them a call. The best of hearing health care over at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Again, they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital. Number to call for an appointment, and you should. 312-0957. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, really, all the years that we've worked, all the years that we've saved, all the years that we've tried to pay the bills, all the years you tried to pay off your mortgage, and you sit there on your porch maybe for a couple of minutes on an evening in the summertime or the early fall, and you reflect on all the things that you've done for your family, your community, and everything, and you're proud of what you've done. What you've done, and it's taken a lot of work, blood, sweat, and tears. But now with people that are just coming in here illegally, we're giving it to them. Something is wrong with this picture. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, I was at the store the other day of Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley the other day, and my wife and I had the nicest visit with Lorena, and boy, oh boy, they have all your electronics needs. They've got all the home theater systems. They've got the video surveillance cameras. Really great in this day and age to have around your property. And they've got HughesNet Internet, and believe me, they have installation in the Burley area. Wow, all the TVs, everything is at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley, and they are open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Don't forget, the very best of people serving you at Patterson's in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning. Well, my comment is, I don't know why we give money to people who break the law when we have plenty of American citizens like the elderly and the homeless who could use that money more.
Amen.
If we're going to be giving money away, I'd rather give it to Americans than to lawbreakers.
Well, okay, you know what? I'm so glad you mentioned that. Stay with me on this. Every year, we try to do, on behalf of my program, and I'm not going to elaborate, we try to do something nice for various people in the community. And it's time, effort, and money that is very well spent. Well, why in the world should our government take our hard-earned money and just give it to people that are here illegally, and it's absolutely supporting more illegality in our country? It's stupid. It's brainless. There's no purpose to it.
Well, and it just keeps encouraging, like you said, law-breaking.
Yes.
I mean, they're going to come as long as people are going to keep giving them stuff. I mean, really.
How would you respond today at the supermarket, if a friend of yours walks up and says, "Oh, I heard you on the radio, and I feel like you're not wanting to help these poor people because they don't have any health insurance coverage"? What are you going to tell that person?
Well, first of all, I believe everyone is a child of God, but I also believe in obeying and sustaining the laws of the land.
There you go.
And so I'm afraid we're going to have to cut the line somewhere and say, you know what, I feel sorry for these people, but they made a bad choice.
You know, if you get, let's just use a fictitious figure here of, let's just say $5,000 a month, okay?
Okay.
And 1,000 of it has to go to health insurance coverage, and that leaves you with 4,000 for the groceries and maybe a car payment and maybe a mortgage payment, and oh my goodness, the kids need new shoes and everything else. But at the same time you're strapped for money at the end of the month, the government comes along and says, well, we're going to take an additional $40 to $50 out of your money and make sure that illegal aliens have health insurance coverage. Don't you think, sweetie, it's time for a revolution?
Yes, that's just wrong. I'm sorry. Wrong.
Well, I appreciate your call, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'll tell you something. Last night, watching Chucky and Nancy up there, and this morning, from some of my sources back in New York, they sent us the picture that I quoted about a little bit earlier, American Gothic, you know, with the husband and wife standing there in front of the church steeple with the pitchfork and everything. And honestly, you could replace Nancy and Chucky right there in the same thing. Some of the comments that came through about what they looked like on TV last night, one of them said, from the Persistence, wrote a little note that said, excuse me, well, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi look spooked out of their minds. Another one said, couldn't someone on the Pelosi-Schumer team mention it's a bad idea to keep a crazy eye through their statement? That was really true, and it was noticed by a lot of people. If you looked at it last night, Chuck Schumer's left eye, very narrowed and sinister and kind of looking in another direction like, I'm going to get these people. It did look very evil last night. My dear friend, Brigitte Gabriel, that's been on my program many, many times, said, this Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer speech is one of the most painfully awkward speeches that I have ever seen. Those are just some of the comments that came in about how bad and stupid their rebuttal was to President Trump's speech last night. And I got to tell you, I'm prejudiced, I know. That speech last night that President Trump gave was the best speech that he's given since becoming president. Straightforward and very hard to give. In a room where there's no people to kind of feed off the emotions, etc., and looking just at the camera and the teleprompter and getting your point across, those are tough. Those are tough. And he did a wonderful job on that speech last night. Laid it out, straightforward, and told it like it was, but then the rebuttal was nothing more than a continuation of the verbiage from the left and the dumb Democrats. Oh, we don't need a wall. There's no crisis. Everything you see on the news with the video of people storming the border and throwing rocks, oh, that's not a crisis. Oh, no, don't worry about all the drugs coming into this country. That's not a crisis. Don't worry about all the thousands of terrorist wannabes that have been arrested at the border. That's not a crisis. Don't worry about it. We got sanctuary cities that are going to take care of them, and now California and New York, they're going to pay the bills on the health care for these people. Everything's great. Follow the yellow brick road. This is insane. Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and serving is the key word. I urge you to stop in and see them today. They've got the best of tires, all the tread designs, all the sizes for your cars, pickups, SUVs, you name it, it's there, and they can help you with the choice of the tires for your type of driving. Don't forget, too, they got the best in brake service, and front-end alignments, and shocks and struts, and batteries. Oh, yeah, need a good battery. We're not done with the cold weather yet this year, I'll tell you that by far. And I urge you to stop in and see them today. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Thank you very much. I don't know what it's going to take for you and me and all of us to start on the food chain with Mike Crapo, Jim Risch, Simpson, etc., and not ask, but demand that things start taking a different course. Demand that they start little power gatherings with other senators and congressmen in other states and get the ball rolling down the alley to hit the pins of this nonsense and stupidity that the Democrats are trying to impose on us. I do not want one dime, not one dime of my tax money to go to aid and abet illegality by providing health care to illegal alien people that don't belong here. Not one dime. This has got to stop. If I do anything, and I do during the course of the year, it's going to be help my citizens of my country in my area. We'll be back in about 7. Good morning and welcome back on a Wednesday, January 9th already. Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for wintertime driving. And of course, don't forget too our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. And don't forget, a lot of things you got at Christmas time. Holy moly, you hit the landmine there. Not a landmine, gold mine. Boom. Anyway, you hit the gold mine. All the folks gave you different gifts and everything. Well, you can't store everything in your house. Well, you better check out the Go Minis, portable storage units from Western Waste Services. They can bring one over to your house. You can fill it up, store it there, or they can take it back and lock it up and store it on their property. Absolutely check it out. Great storage units from Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Want to also give a great big shout out and thank you to Holly Rowe and a great idea called Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors, developed for seniors that want to stay at home. That's right, Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors at 135 East 23rd Drive in Burley. They can help with some of the daily tasks and some of the meal preparation or light housekeeping chores, whatever it might be. Please find out more. Give them a call. 312-5715, Minnecasia Hearts for Seniors. Now taking Medicaid and VA approved, also private pay. I urge you to get a hold of them. 312-5715. I always look forward to Wednesdays And I really look forward to Wednesdays when I know he's going to be on the air with me, and that's, of course, my old buddy, emphasis on old, Dave Bego, Indiana. Good morning.
Well, good morning to you, and Happy New Year. And speaking of old, you're the old buddy.
I know that, but it hurts me. It pains me to realize that. Did you have a great holiday season?
Yeah, we did. And last week we were out west skiing with our grandkids and they wore us out.
Well, that's the fun part of life right there. Dave, I wanted to mention to you this morning that I'm not in a very good mood, and I'll tell you why. And I want to get your response to it as a businessman, entrepreneur, and author. I said in the first hour, and I'm going to synopsize a little bit of what we were talking about. I said in the last 10 years, I just used the last 10 years, on the health care premiums that I have paid in for my private health care for Deanne, myself, my family. And it's an exorbitant amount that possibly in 10 years was well over $125,000. I would like to have that money back in my pocket to use responsibly for something else. Because why in the world should I pay those exorbitant figures for health care coverage to make sure I'm not a drain on someone else when now California and New York are going to give full health care coverage to illegal aliens?
Yeah, that's crazy. Of course, you're talking about two states that are out of their minds and don't understand that's going to work. And of course, the other people are going to pay for it, through taxes or increased health care cost and that. And I don't know if you remember that, but back when I was writing blogs, I wrote a blog on health care, and one of the things that I said that we need to do across the country is allow health care to companies to sell across state lines and that. Because in many cases they can only sell in one state or maybe two states and stuff like this. What we need to do is make them more competitive and open it up to the free markets. And I'll tell you what, I think it would get more, the cost would go down for the people, and they would be better off. They would do things better and faster, and it'd be great for the American people.
Well, Dave, I'm never going to back off on this one, and I think I'm right. I know I'm right. Whatever happens on the right coast, New York, or happens on the left coast, California, is eventually going to be like a cancer and seep into and start to grow in other states. This concept of providing full health care coverage to illegal aliens is aiding and abetting an illegality in this country. So like I said last hour, all of us, when it comes to the IRS saying, hey, you owe this amount, Mr. Bell, we can say, well, gee, I don't want to contribute to anything illegal in our society, so I'm going to withhold my payment until you clean up your act.
Yeah, well, this whole thing, and, both California and New York are heavily Democratic states, very progressive states, and the whole reason they're doing this is that they want these people coming across the border because this is all about future votes for the future elections.
That's right.
Of course, now they're looking at the 2020 elections.
Yep.
And they want to do things that they can get people in here from across the borders and that, and get them to vote for them.
Did you have a chance last night to watch the 9.5-minute speech by President Trump?
No, I didn't. We were, yesterday was my wife's birthday, and we were having dinner with our local pastor.
By the way, what is your wife's first name?
Barb.
Barb. Would you tell Barb that Zeb said, happy birthday, dear Barbara, and oh, what you have to put up with at home?
Goober says the same thing.
I know she does. Don't rub it in. Listen, the thing I was going to ask you about, I watched the speech in its entirety, and I said this before, and I'm going to say it again this morning, and I'm sure you've probably seen news excerpts of it. But President Trump was the most presidential in giving a speech last night that I have seen in the last 2 years, and I mean that emphatically. But the follow-up with Chuck and Nan was like watching American Gothic without the pitchfork.
That's interesting. I didn't get to see any of, I haven't seen any of that, but I'm glad that he was more professional, because that's one of the things I've emphasized in speaking to people all the time. And even when I spoke to some of his people, I know that he has to be more professional, because one thing I learned in fighting the SEIU is you don't want to throw stuff out there that they can use as bullets to come back at you with. And you just got to clean up your act and be very professional on how you handle these people, because they're looking at anything they can find to shoot you with.
Well, there's no question about it, but I want you, this is your homework assignment. After this call in, I want you somehow to find excerpts of that. It's on the internet. I'm sure you can find it. And I know that you're going to call me and agree that there was absolutely no holes in the screen door, none whatsoever, about what President Trump did or how he promoted himself on that speech. It was excellent.
Well, that's great. That's the way he has to do it. And if he continues doing it like that, they're going to have trouble going after him and throwing stuff out there, and talking about impeachment and all that kind of stuff. And that's what he really needs to do.
But, Dave, how are we as a society, and you're right smack dab in the middle, basically, in Indiana, and you see some of the stupidity that comes out of Chicago with Rahm Emanuel and other leaders of Democratic cities. But pretty soon, this giving illegal aliens free health care, this giving this providing sanctuary cities, this covering up the illicit activities. Oh, no, they can't arrest them. Oh, those poor people. Everything is being given and provided for people that are not citizens of this country. And I said on the first hour, it's about time for us, American citizens, to throw our hands up in the air and say, hey, Congress, that's it. It's over.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, but and I'm sure I've spoke about this before on your show, is that one of the big things is, again, the Democrats want the votes of these people so they can increase their power and run this country and make it into a more of a socialistic, communistic state. And behind the scenes, the bigger unions, the radical ones, are the ones behind the Democratic Party doing this, because if you've read some of my blogs and my book. I talk about, and this comes from members of the SEIU that sent me information that 45% of their dues money goes to politics, and 95% of that goes to the Democratic Party, and they are pushing to have illegals come across the border so that they can unionize these people at some point and increase their revenues, which goes into the pots for the unions, but then it goes into the Democratic Party's pot.
You mention the SEIU almost every week you're on the program, and yesterday I was walking out of my office going into the kitchen area of my home, and some commentator started talking about the SEIU, and the phone rang, and I didn't get a chance to catch it, but this commentator was saying the SEIU is so heavily involved in the illicit and illegality of bringing people into this country. Why hasn't there been an investigation into that union and possible arrests?
Well, it's because their union dues, they give so much to the Democratic Party, they won't investigate it. And and of course in places like California, the SEIU basically controls the politics there, because they give so much money to the Democratic Party out there, and they control it, and they are all about making California a sanctuary state and bringing these people in. And I was on a different radio show a couple of years ago, and I'm talking about this stuff, and that these people, they're not legally shouldn't be able to vote. But a gal called in, and she was an illegal alien, and she says, "Yeah, I work at a place, the SEIU's there, and I got to be part of it." And she says they came on voting day and picked me up and took me to the polls and told me who to vote for. And then another one, they actually they held a conference of a bunch of people and had them come into the rooms and vote over their computers and told them who to vote for and stuff. So this is the stuff that's going on, Steb, and America needs to wake up to it, the fact that these unions say, yeah, we're doing good things for the people. We're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, and take care of you, and all this kind of stuff. It's whether it's health care or whatever. But the truth at the end of the day is they could care less about the members. It's all about the money for their pocketbook and their political.
I agree with you, but Dave, where do you draw the line? How do you draw the line, and who are you going to get to stand with you on the line when illegal aliens, which means they are illegally here in this country, they are not citizens, so they're aliens, illegal aliens, come in here and they're afforded more of the gratuities and amenities than our citizens? I know a lot of the elderly that are just scraping by month, trying to get enough groceries to have an existence. I know a lot of people that are trying to figure out where they're going to get the extra bucks to buy Johnny a new pair of shoes. But yet our government is involved in illicit funding of illegal aliens, giving them driver's licenses, providing them full health care coverage. I mean, what about protecting our own?
Well, I'm with you, but the whole thing about this, Zeb, is that the Republican Party needs to stand up and go after this stuff.
Oh.
And, and I've been saying this for years, but a lot of them, when they get in there and they start talking about stuff and voting for stuff and all that, they're looking back and saying, well, I don't know if I want to do that. I may not get reelected. And this goes back to the other thing that I've been pushing, is that we need term limits, because these people need to be in office for 2 terms and then out. Instead of wanting to stay there forever and get all these big incomes and that. And that's why they don't do the right things for America.
Amen. By the way, another bill has been proposed by Representative Republican Francis. I'm trying to think of his last name right now, from Florida. He recently did introduce a new bill that would be for term limits. He was on TV the other day. So there are some people out there with common sense.
Yeah, there are, and there was another one too that's looking at it, and because I got somebody sent me an email on it the other day, and we need that, and I've talked to Francis before, and I told him I'm behind him on that, and we need more people in Washington, in the House and the Senate, to push this and get it through, so that we do the right things for America, not the right things for people to stay in Washington all their life.
Dave, how in the world can someone sit back and just basically absorb what's going on, like 22 million? That's the estimate, and many people that are experts have said it's even higher. 22 million illegal aliens are here in this country already. It's projected that before the year 2039, there will be another 35 million that will come into this country illegally. So we're talking all those numbers of illegals taking over a major segment of our populace and a control of our government. What in the world is going on? Why isn't the American public outraged over it? I just don't understand why people aren't doing something.
Because they don't really, they're not really paying attention to it. They're not staying up to date on it, and they don't hear some of the figures that you and I hear. And they just, they're going about their daily lives, and they're just, they don't get it. And and it's not just, it's people from all walks of life and from, all income levels and everything, that they're just, they're concentrating on their life, and they're not paying attention to what's going on.
If and I mentioned this to a lovely lady that called in last hour. It's a very sweet lady, but we were talking about the border crisis and the way the illegal aliens are demanding to come into this country, point their finger in your and my chest, or throw rocks at us and say we're coming in regardless. All these people with the caravan, all those that stormed the border and throw rocks at our border patrol agents and everything, and we're supposed to open the door and our hearts and say, oh, come on in, we're going to help you. And then for the dumb Democrats to say that there's no crisis, these people are living in a balloon with no air.
Well, again, they don't care, because at the end of the day, and this is what it comes down to on the Democratic side, on the far left, the progressives, They want it to be a socialistic communist country because it's all about control. They tell you what you're going to do and what you're going to get, and they want to control everything. And they brainwash people. And the SEIU did this whole kind of thing because, that's what the unions want to do. They want to organize people and get them as members, and that's so they can control them, and they'll pay them about the same. They'll get about, the same type of benefits, and they don't have a chance to really move up and improve themselves because they're always going to be about the same level. And that's what they want with this country, that, everybody's the same here. You get paid the same, and you work about as hard as the other guy and everything. And, it's easier to control people, and that's what this is all about, Seb.
Yeah, I know it is, Dave. And one thing I've got to talk about quickly before we run out of time is the wall itself. I'm not going to change the verbiage. I'm going to continue saying the wall, the wall, the wall. I want a wall. I'd like to have a wall 50 feet high with armed guards up on top of it, electric wire, and German shepherds at the bottom of it. I don't want any more illegal people coming into this country, but I wonder what's going to happen. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think Trump needs to keep pushing it, and I think he's going to have trouble getting the whole wall. But I think we need to do something like that to stop people in that. And I also think that, and he's done a little bit of it, but we need to do more of it. We got to turn over the southern border to the U.S. military.
Yes.
Because they will find a way to stop these people. And but he's going to have to keep pushing it. And the problem is, again, he's going it alone on this thing because, when you come back to the Congress and to the Senate and that, the Republicans and some of the Democrats too, are only going to vote based on whether they get reelected or not.
And you hit the nail right on the head a few moments ago when you said they're more concerned, I'm paraphrasing what you said, but basically politicians are more concerned about their reelection than they really are sticking their neck out and trying to work for their constituents. And is that what we've evolved into right now? I mean, if we lost the politicians of the 40s, 50s, and 60s that really rolled up their sleeves and worked for the public, I say yes, and I don't see anybody back there that I'm really proud of.
Well, that's the problem we have, as I've mentioned earlier, and and I'll get back. It's simple. We need term limits so that people go to Washington, do a couple terms, and do the right things for the American people, and they go back to work in the private sector.
Amen. I guess I might also add on the program this morning that goes without saying that your Indianapolis Colts are looking really, really good. Why don't you give us the Dave Bigo Sports Perspective?
They've come a long way, and this coach has done a great job. We needed a tough coach. Of course, he came from Philadelphia, who won it last year, and he has the backbone, and just like we need from our politicians, the backbone to stand up to these players and get them to doing the right things, and they are. And I'm optimistic about this weekend in their game against Kansas City. They're going to the offense is going to have to spend a lot of time on the field because the Chiefs. Their defense isn't that good, but their offense is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Our offense has got to be out on the field a lot to keep the Chiefs' offense off the field.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really high on what's going on with the Indianapolis Colts, Andrew Luck, and I wish you a lot of success. And I always look forward to having you on the program every week on Wednesday. Are you going to be available next week?
Yeah, I plan to be, yeah. Last week, like I say, we just were on vacation with kids and grandkids, and we loved it. It was great, but I'll have to tell you, they wore us out.
Slushing down the slopes.
Well, not just that, just being with them. When you have grandkids that are running around all the time and yapping and all that kind of stuff, it kind of wears you out too.
Are you a grandparent? I got to ask you this real quick. Are you a grandparent that can just absorb, or are you a grandparent that has to be proactive? Don't do that. Don't touch that. Or do you just act like a sponge and whatever they want to do, let them do?
No, I'm proactive.
Me too.
Because I think they need to learn.
Amen.
But I try to do it in a nice way.
Mr. Sweetness, I forgot. Thank you. Dave Vigo, God bless you, man. Good to have you on the program, and take care. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Well, thank you, and you have a great week, and hope you have a great 2019 New Year.
Buddy, we will. Thank you so much. God bless you. A good friend of ours, author and political analyst, Dave Vigo from back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Thank you very much. I want to remind you about some really caring, sharing, and people that can help you, and that's Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you. You know, there's nothing worse or nothing harder to get through than the passing of a loved one, and the grieving families, they just absolutely don't know what needs to be done in such a short period of time. They can help, and they will help. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. They always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity in serving you and your family. Please give them a call, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Oh my, yesterday on the program we reported that Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More is having a great big, they had this, I think, a semblance of this last year. A great big January flooring event. Holy moly. Carpet your entire home, and with the standard carpet prices of only $69 per month, or the better carpet $89, premier carpet $99. And they've got the premier carpets and all the great looking carpets for you to see at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And don't forget too, they've got all the luxury vinyl for your entire home. You're going to make your home look like a showplace. All you need to do to find out more is get in and talk to Jeff and all the crew at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Really, really knowledgeable people to help you beautify and comfortize the entirety of your home. They know, let me tell you. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. You stop in and see those good folks today. One other quick note, and then we're going to get to one of my favorite guests on this program, and that's, of course, I want to visit a little bit about our friends over at Let's Ride. Oh, yeah, you got to get away. You got to get away from the office, and you've got to get away from the in-laws, the outlaws, the family, and everything else. Well, get on a snowmobile and head for the hills. Well, check out all the great snowmobile buys over at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold at 270 Highway 24 in Rupert. Absolutely. You know, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4, and they've got such a showroom. Holy moly, you're going to say, how'd they crowd all this in here? Well, it's amazing. And they've got a super accessory department, and to keep you running, great, great service department. All of this and more over at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. It's true, where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. Right now, and I'm not going to limit this to one topic, I love having this lady on the phone because she is going to roll up her sleeves and tell it like it is. Megan Barth, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb, and Happy New Year. I think this is the first time we've talked.
It is the first time we've talked. I'm going to let you this morning, you're involved in so many things, tell us all the different attributes and accolades that you want the people to know about Megan Barth.
Oh, goodness. Well, my main website is ReaganBabe.com. That's Reagan as in Ronald, Babe as in Ruth. And you can find my writing and my radio hits on ReaganBabe.com, as well as Twitter, at ReaganBabe, Facebook, at ReaganBabe. And then I'm involved in a PAC, Red Wave America, and we'll be launching that website very soon. We launched right before the midterms, but only did a couple things, so now we're preparing for 2020.
You know, Megan, I hope you'll forgive me this morning if I kind of veer off the railroad track a little bit and start with something else that I've talked about all morning long. And it made me so mad last night, I almost took off one of my Tony Lama boots and threw it through my big screen TV. California and New York are now going to start supplying full health care coverage to illegal aliens. You, me, and everybody else that's a responsible United States citizen has probably had to go to the bank and borrow money to make sure that we get all our bills paid, etc., protect our family. We've had to pay our own health insurance, etc., pay the mortgage in the car, and now we're going to give the amenity of free health insurance coverage to illegal aliens. I am incensed. I'm teed off.
Well, and I guess Joe Wilson was right when he screamed "You lie" during the State of the Union address when Barack Obama said Obamacare was not to be used for illegal aliens. We all knew that was a ruse. But we have to kind of ask ourselves the question of why the Democrats, specifically the socialists, because that's what they are, why the socialists are protecting illegal aliens and turning their backs on American citizens. And I wrote about this, which appeared on Christmas Day, actually, in the Washington Times, and it's in regards to the census. Now, a lot of people don't understand, because I certainly didn't, when I started looking into this, is that the census since 1950 has not asked the citizenship question on the census. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important because we are counting illegal aliens in our census, which directly affects the Electoral College. It directly reflects and influences the representation in those states, New York, California, and other states that have a high illegal immigrant population. So when we count illegal aliens in the census, it gives Democrats more power, because the New York Times specifically tells us that if the citizenship question was asked, California and New York and other states with a high population of illegal aliens would lose seats, as many as 9, based on the population in California. So these are very important counts for the Democrats, meaning it gives them more power. Illegal aliens give Democrats more power. Not only do they give them more power in the Electoral College by the way of representation, but they also give Democrats more power because they are dependent on government. They are dependent on the taxpayer citizens. And so while Democrats now are turning their backs on black Americans and white Americans and citizens alike, they need to import low-skilled, non-English-speaking labor in spite of the fact that it costs American citizens $138 billion a year to care for illegal aliens in the way of health care, entitlements, and incarceration. And so now the Democrats are purposely conflating legal immigration with illegal immigration in order, of course, to paint anyone against illegal immigration as racist. But I have to remind everybody that illegal alien is not a race, it's a crime. And I think that the last point I made as far as my piece in the Washington Times entitled "The Science Behind Trump's 2020 Census" is that the Democrats are so scared of the citizenship question on the census that Wilbur Ross, the Secretary of Commerce, wants to re-implement, that they've sued that 7 different left-wing organizations have sued the administration, and the current lawsuit against the citizenship question is in the Southern District of New York, which is presided by a federal judge, an Obama appointee. So this lawsuit will likely end up in the Supreme Court no matter what his decision is, and the Supreme Court has to decide by June of 2019, so June, this is just in a few months. They have to decide on the merits of that citizenship question because the census needs to be printed very quickly.
You know, Megan, I'm sitting here, and day by day, I'm becoming more filled with animosity against so-called leadership in this country that I trusted, so-called leadership in this country from our even state of Idaho that I voted for to go back and represent us. I am sick and tired that the American people are just they're being trod upon. They're being used as pawns by the Democratic Party. The Democrats and the liberals and even some of the Republicans don't care about about us. They just want us to pay our taxes to the IRS, take a lot of that money, and further illegal and illicit activities in this country. Where is the outrage? Where is the American public standing up and saying that is enough and have a revolt against this?
Well, I think if it didn't happen necessarily in 2016, which I believe it did with Donald Trump, I think it will happen again in 2020, because I have said for quite some time, even though some pundits that you see on TV don't agree with me, that illegal immigration should be the leading issue that will drive Americans to the polls.
Yes.
Specifically with the high rates of crime and the most recent assassination of a legal immigrant by an illegal immigrant, Corporal Singh, out of Newman, California.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to continue to see the lives of American citizens ruined by people who have no business being here. I think that Trump's floating the idea should be implemented, and that is to declare a national emergency. And I've said this on radio long before Trump was talking about it. He has every right to declare a national emergency because we are being overrun by people who have absolutely no right to be here and are taking advantage of our system, our taxpayer dollars, and our resources that are supposed to go to American citizens. But as long as the socialists keep grabbing power, whether that's in California, New York, or other wherever Democrats rule, they will continue to take advantage of American citizens and protect illegal aliens because it gives them power.
Megan, did you see the speech last night? And let me just have a second here. I did. I watched it in its entirety, took notes on it, etc., from President Trump. I thought, and I'll stand behind this, it was the most presidential speech that he has given since he has been elected 2 years ago. On the other hand, when I saw Chucky and Nan standing there like American Gothic holding a pitchfork, I thought it was disgusting. What were your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I couldn't believe the pan of Chuck and Nancy. It's turned into a complete meme war over on Twitter and on the Internet. I said embalmed party of two. They looked like, and I have to also point out, they overdid it with the American flags. That was a complete prop. I think they've had about 6 or 7 or 8 American flags behind them, totally unnecessary, totally staged. If they were to prop up any flags behind them, it should have been the flags of Mexico and Honduras and El Salvador, because that's exactly who they represent. I thought Trump's speech was very good. I thought we could have had more statistics. And I'm also one for visuals. I just think visuals have a huge impact.
Yes, that's true.
But perhaps that's not, the place for visual presentation. However, he can do whatever he wants. He's the president. I thought it was excellent. I thought that he was impactful. I thought the statistics that he cited, specifically with the deaths and the crimes and the human trafficking, et cetera, and the drugs, were so important because he was not only speaking to an echo chamber of Fox News or to some sort of partisan periodical or network. He was speaking across all networks to the American people, and I hope the American people were listening. I had a friend actually text me that he was at a restaurant watching, I guess, the speech, and the waitress said, "Oh, are you, watching the White House?" And he said, "Yeah," and she said, "What is he saying?" And my friend said, "He's saying he's going to protect us." And with that, the waitress, kind of gave a fist pump and a woo-hoo type of thing.
Really?
So the American people are interested, and they are watching, and they understand that our border is a very dangerous place, unlike the Democrats want us to believe it is.
Well, that leads me to ask you this question, and I don't want you to pinpoint exactly where you are if you don't want to, but of all the people that you know, all the people that you associate with, all your neighbors, etc., are you kind of like standing in the middle of a small shark-infested island, or are you finding more numbers in your opinion and mine?
Well, I live in Las Vegas, and so our last midterm election, we went entirely blue across the state. That has to do with the amount of illegal aliens that we have in this state. Also, the amount of California refugees that are crossing over our border, escaping all of the crap they voted in, and then voting for the same crap when they get here. I'm sure the same is happening to Idaho. They bring their progressive policies with them, and then, like locusts, descend on another state and ruin it. I would say that many people that I talk to across the country, and including in this state, are very concerned with the border situation, understand how illegal immigration is impacting their communities. The only ones that don't understand it are the Marxists, the communists, and the socialists within the Democrat Party that want to fundamentally transform this country. This is how they plan on doing it, is through open borders and illegal immigration. Like I said, importing low-skilled, non-English-speaking people in order to overthrow the capitalist system. When we looked at that last caravan that is now stuck in Tijuana and has been for months, I referred to that as the Cloward-Piven caravan. And in order to understand the left, you need to understand Cloward-Piven, which is an economic model created by two Marxists out of Chicago, imagine that, that basically said that if you want to overthrow the capitalist system, you need to create a series of crises in succession in order to stress that capitalist system to overthrow it. So what better way to overthrow the capitalist system than by importing, like I said, non-English speaking, low-wage, unskilled workers into this system and immediately put them on entitlements, give them free health care, like de Blasio and Gavin Newsom want to do, and give them all the freebies that are reserved or should be reserved for those who pay for it, which are the American taxpayers. And so I think that when you look at general polls, whether it's the Quinnipiac poll or other polls, a plurality of Americans understand the danger of the border. They understand the need for reinforcements at the border. Whether the Democrats want to call that a wall, or if they want to call it a barrier, or if they want to call it a moat, or if they want to call it a fence, I really don't care. But most Americans understand that there needs to be reinforcements at the border because the border is a magnet for violence and for illegal immigration.
When you look and listen to the likes of the upstart 29-year-old that has never done anything, never accomplished anything, and only shoots off her mouth, she lets her BB gun brain overrun her shotgun mouth, and I'm talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I am really afraid that she is a precursor to what's going to happen even more so with the Democratic Party leading up to 2020 and beyond. What are your thoughts about what's happening with her and others?
Oh, yeah, I don't think that we should understand her influence or her power. We can all kind of make memes about her and tease her lack of intellectual capacity and her lack of understanding of economics. But she really represents the millennial generation. The millennial generation, which has been indoctrinated to believe that socialism is better than capitalism. And when you look at more and more studies that are produced, it says Americans are warming up to socialism. And so this really is the fight, and it has been the age-old fight, and I've written about this quite a bit, whereby we're not necessarily fighting Democrats. It's not Republicans against Democrats. It's not blue against red. It is socialists against capitalists. And that has been the age-old fight since day one, because there always has been a totalitarian spirit in the Democrat Party, no matter if you go back to Wilson or prior to. But Democrats have always believed in a nanny state. They've always believed in a totalitarian state where government has to take care of you. You can't take care of yourself. And the first thing that the Democrats did under the last totalitarian, Barack Obama, who is a Marxist, was to implement socialist health care. And as Ronald Reagan warned us, that the first thing the Democrats do in order to implement socialism is it will come through the health care system. And sure enough, that's exactly what they did without one single vote from the Republican Party. They rammed the socialist Obamacare down our throats. And now, because it didn't work, they're talking about single payer. So, again, this is the spirit of the Democrat Party, always has been the spirit of the Democrat Party. The communist, Marxist, socialist, totalitarian spirit is now full on display from a middle-class girl, not from the Bronx, but from Westchester, New York, and she should be considered a threat and perceived a threat because she has certainly a large following. And then when we look at the totalitarian Muslim wing of the Democrat Party, specifically two, one Somali out of Minnesota, one Palestinian out of Michigan, we cannot underestimate that there is a clear and present danger that we are up against.
Amen. We've got time for one quick call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Make it fast, please. I've only got 2 minutes left.
Well, either Lenin or Marx said that the keystone to, socialism is, social health care, single payer, whatever you want to call it. But you see, you always wonder what people know and what people don't know. The millennials, are they going to wise up and realize what capitalism gives them and the freedoms that they take for granted and the incomes and the economy that we have right now that benefits all of us, including people on welfare or people living in their mom and dad's basement? Do the millennials ever wake up, or will they wake up soon enough to save us? I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller quickly, if you would, Megan. Thank you.
Well, it's undoing the indoctrination in our indoctrination centers, in our colleges, our high schools, our kindergartens, and our grade schools across the country, where these kids have been raised by basically Marxists within our school system. When you understand that Bill Ayers is actually a college professor, and Bill Ayers was part of the underground, was it the Weatherman Underground, I think it was, bombing police, etc., and now he's a professor in Chicago. That should tell you that we have a lot of undoing to do. The millennials won't understand the dangers of socialism until they live under it.
Megan, real quick thought. I'm going to put you on the spot here for a prediction. Are we going to get funding for the wall? Are we going to see an elongation of the government partial shutdown? What do you think over the next couple of weeks?
I don't think the Democrats are going to budge. So I think the shutdown is going to go for as long as the Democrats want it to go in order to create as much pain and dependency as they can. What they don't understand, and I hope maybe they do, is that they're really only hurting their own. Because most Democrats are government workers, and most government workers are Democrats. So I think what's going to happen is, if push comes to shove, there should be a national emergency declared, or what President Trump does is simply find money from other budgets, whether that's the defense budget, et cetera, in order to get this wall built. Because I think the only thing outside of deportation that is humane and moral is a wall.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Founder of ReaganBabe.com. I always look forward to having her on our program. Megan Barth, God bless. Please come back soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zeb. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care. She tells it like it is, and I really respect that. Megan Barth, thank you for being on the program this morning. Oh, my, we've got to get a weather forecast on here. I'm running a little bit late, and the weather brought to you this hour by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. As I say every day, they have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. You've worked hard for your money, and you want to make sure that you get a chance to retain and use it to the best advantage. Let them help you. They are the best at tax return preparation, tax planning, payroll services, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. And they've got offices in Burley and Rupert. Remember the professionals serving you. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Wednesday. We're expecting mostly cloudy skies for today. Just a slight breeze. We could see gusts as high as 20 miles an hour out of the east. Other than that, expecting a high of 41. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of rain, possible snow showers in the overnight hours, especially up in the higher elevations. Cloudy skies with a low of 29. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 40 with an overnight low of 24 for Thursday night. By Friday, mostly sunny skies with a high of 35. And for the weekend, mostly sunny. Highs are going to be in the low to mid 30s. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth Ranch.
Oh, that's not too bad, Gina. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And the weather brought to you by our friends, and they've been sponsoring the weather for quite some time right here in this slot. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I know these folks, and I know they can help you. Please remember to give them a call or stop in. Whether you are talking about your taxes for you, your family, or business, you want to expand your business, maybe start a partnership or a corporation, please talk to them. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Wow, busy morning this morning, and today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and I want to urge you, seriously, to go up to a policeman, go up to a sheriff's deputy, go up to a sheriff, whatever, stick your hand out and say, thank you for all you do to protect us and our community. National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. They should have that 365 days a year, but today exclusively, just go up and say, holy cow, I know you've got a tough job to do. It's not easy, and we just appreciate you. There you go. I know somebody else we appreciate, too, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my goodness sakes, when you talk about life insurance and health insurance and employee benefits, all of this and so much more. What you need to do is write the number down right now. I'm going to give it to you, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. And call them. Make an appointment and talk to them because, man, they can help you. And make sure that you're covered for you, your family, and your business. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, 436-4424. Wow. Got a time for a call. Give me a jingle quickly at 436-2244. A lot of telephone numbers out here. Give us a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There's a lady that works for this administration. I like her. I like Kellyanne Conway. I'll tell you what, she is the presidential advisor, and she tells it like it is. She had a kind of a face-to-face with CNN's Jim Acosta yesterday and called him a smart fill-in-the-blanks. Well, here's how it came about. They were having a presidential news conference, and she was answering quite a few questions, and Acosta said, Kellyanne, can you promise the president will tell the truth tonight? Will he tell the truth? And she replied, yes, Jim. Can you promise that you will? The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. And then Acosta yelled back in front of all these reporters, he said, I'm not the one who has the alternative facts problem. You do. Ooh. He shouldn't have said that. Because then Kellyanne let him know that you are a smart most of the time. And I want you to know that most of the people here don't like you. Kind of put him back on his heels. Yay and hooray for Kellyanne Conway. Ha! Love it. We're going to take a little break and then come back, and we've got a little potpourri this next hour because my guest waited till 10 minutes before the program this morning and then decided, I can't, I got a sore throat. And so we're going to have an open 20 minutes or so at 10:06, and we'll welcome your calls on anything and everything that you want to discuss. So right now, Wheels, it's all yours. Take us up to news. Well, good morning, and thank you. Welcome back to hour number 3. Oh, you're okay. I thought I heard something bang, Deanna. I didn't know what fell. Thank you. Welcome back. Our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires for your wintertime driving. And don't forget to stop in and see them today. Along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And they are helping you get back to being you. Wow, we got an open forum for this next 20 minutes or so. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We will talk about the speech last night. We'll talk about the so-called humorous and not worth very much in substance rebuttal by Nancy and Chuck. We will talk about anything you want to talk about, so give us a jingle at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I do have... already got a call. Thank you. God bless you. We appreciate it. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Hello. Tony, I am phenomenal. How are you and your lovely bride?
If I felt any better, I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Well, write a book. There you go, buddy. What can I do for you?
Well, I think maybe the solution to this border problem.
Oh, good.
Okay, I think what we need to do is declare the cities that Schumer lives in, Pelosi, Wacky Warman, and Cortez, and declare them sanctuary cities and have these people that have crossed the border flooded into their system.
Yeah.
Right, their neighborhoods.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that'll be the cure. That'll be a lesson.
Tony, you've been on God's great earth a little bit longer than I have, and you've seen some of the tragedies and some of the real bad part of our early history. But doing this, providing full health care coverage to illegal aliens, I am so mad, so incensed about this that when I get off the program this morning, I am going to be calling Crapo and Rish and the rest of them and saying, what are you guys doing? What are you doing or not doing that this kind of insanity is starting to grow in America?
Well, see, the problem is these politicians aren't being affected financially about all these programs that are putting in to keep them in office indefinitely, but it's going to devastate the voters and the taxpayers.
Well, yeah. You've worked all your life and spent all your money to raise your family, pay your bills, and hopefully have some socked away for some retirement. But now knowing that all the money that you spent on health care coverage, oh, well, you didn't have to, because if you were an illegal alien that shouldn't be here because you're here illegally in the first place, we're gonna give it to you.
Yeah, well, pretty soon, there won't be enough of us taxpayers left to support these freeloaders that are flooding into our country by the thousands.
And they are. They're absolute freeloaders, and they're getting better and more of the gratuities that we should be giving our own citizens.
I think it's just a matter of time, the way things are going right now, that this country is finished.
I don't want to be that negative. Tony, I don't want to be that negative because I always want to look at the glass and see that there's still some water in it that we can quench our thirst. I'm going to say that we're scraping the bottom of the barrel, but I still think there's time. There's time, I think, to have a great big revolt in this country against stupidity. That stupidity is, of course, the Democratic Party and the liberal left. We've got to put them out of any power whatsoever.
Well, where's the revolt going to come from?
That's a good question.
Come from the millennials or these welfare recipients?
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, to the point where I'm absolutely amazed as to the American taxpayer not sitting there going, wait a minute, I worked hard all my life, paid my bills, and I had to really scrimp and save to try to make sure that I kept my health insurance for my family, and now they're going to give it to people that don't even live here, they're not even citizens? This is insanity.
Well, I've seen what happened to the city I came from, so what's happening here right now I see it coming.
Absolutely. Always appreciate your call, Tony. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, buddy. Thank you. I tell you, it's just completely upside down. Like the Bible says, what's right is wrong, wrong is right. We're in that stage right now. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There was a little bitty story on the news last night, and it really piqued my attention. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I wanted to quote Margaret Thatcher. You know what she said about socialism? It's a really good program until you run out of other people's money.
Amen.
Yeah.
Let me ask...
going back to... I want to go back to New York and to California.
Yes.
That's where I'm going with this deal, because when they run out of people's money and they go bankrupt and belly up, I hope we don't give them a dirty, rotten plug nickel.
Well, let me ask you, if you were a resident, let's say you lived up in Buffalo, New York, or maybe you lived out in the rural areas of New York, and all of a sudden you heard that Bill de Blasio and the government in the state of New York was going to be providing free health care for illegal aliens, and you've worked hard all your life, whether you've been a farmer in upstate New York or whether you worked in a factory, a processing company, or whatever, and you barely had enough money to make ends meet. How would that make you feel, my friend?
Well, I would be leaving New York yesterday. That's what I'd be doing, because, well, people are leaving New York now.
Yeah.
Going to Florida. I mean, you know, only the dumb ones are staying behind, I guess.
But the point is also look over your shoulder to the left coast of California when you have a new governor by the name of Gavin Newsom that absolutely is hanging way out on the left branch of the tree, and he wants to provide more in sanctuary cities in his sanctuary state. He wants to give to the illegal aliens and provide more safety and sanctity to them than he does the American citizen. This has got to stop. Somehow we've got to overthrow this stupidity and get back to something that's correct.
I agree. I was talking to a friend this summer. He lived here, grew up here, graduated from here, and he'd been in California ever since. And I asked him where he was living now. It's not in California. He moved across the border into Nevada.
Yeah. Well, you know, this morning...
Get the heck out of California.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Earlier this morning, I don't know if you heard the first hour or not, but I went back just 10 years. Just 10 years in my life. And I started adding up some of the health care premiums that I've had to pay and everything, and I just rounded it off. It's a little bit more than what I quoted on the radio. But I said in 10 years I paid over $120,000 in health insurance premiums to protect me and my family. I've paid it. I had to work for the money, scrimp and save, along with the mortgage and auto payments and everything else and food, and they're going to give that kind of a gratuity to the illegal aliens that shouldn't be here in the first place. I'm damn mad.
Right, that's two wrongs. For them being here and for them giving it to them.
You got it. Thank you for your call this morning. Always appreciate hearing from you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I tell you, this is nuts. The American, what is the name of this group of guys that ought to be laying on the couch and have somebody talking to them? Oh, it's the group called the American Psychological Association. These guys are nuts. We should be investigating them. Yeah, I'll tell you this. They're so desperate in trying to run down masculinity in this country. You know, let me ask you folks this. Seriously, if you're a woman or a man, think about this. I use the John Wayne image. John Wayne, big, tough, strong guy. Took care of his family. Fought for his wife. Fought for his kids. Okay, that's the concept. On the other side of the story, you have, use the actress that played his wife in a lot of movies, Maureen O'Hara. Very beautiful, very conscientious, very oriented towards making the family work, standing by her man. Masculine and feminine. But now, the American Psychological Association, they say that masculinity is evil. Ooh, it's wrong. We have to get rid of it. It's harmful. Now, do you really want to live in a society where the men are all squishy-handed, noodle-armed wussies like Pee Wee Herman or the queerish imps on TV sitcoms? You want to be like them? No. But there is a complete denigration and possible destruction of masculinity in this country. I don't know why. I don't know why they're so afraid of men being men and women being women. That's the way God created it. But there is an attack, and now these psychologists have got together and said, oh, if a young boy is starting to show traits of being too masculine, traditional masculinity, well, we have to pull him back. We have to wussify him. Would you do that to your son? I don't think so. If he likes to go out and play Jeremiah Johnson and go hunting and fishing and trapping or whatever, or be the outstanding football player, halfback or starting guard, whatever on the football team, fine. What would happen on the reverse of this if we went out and tried to stifle femininity? Let me say that again without biting my tongue. Femininity. Oh, all heck would break loose. How dare you criticize ladies? Well, how dare you criticize us men? There has to be the twixt and the tween. And when you get a group of weak-kneed nuts like the American Psychological Association, it really tells me that we have a problem in this country with gender identification. And these kooks want to eradicate anything masculine. And like I said, turn us into squishy-handed, noodle-armed wusses. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I'd like to talk to you. In a minute, I'm going to tell you a little bit about a story regarding Steve Scalise. Disgusting story. Not about him, but about somebody that was trying to do something to him. Don't forget Quali's Electronics at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Hello, Bruce and the crew at Quali's Electronics. These are nice people. I've known the patriarchs of the family, Mel, for a long, long time. And right now, they've got a great big sign-up for Dish TV. I love Dish TV. And if you go to Quali's Electronics and sign up right now, you can lock in your price for 2 years. A 2-year lock-in in price. And listen to this. You get local installation and service. Plus, if you mention my name, Zeb at the Ranch, Zeb Bell, you get an extra $50 credit on your first bill. I'm telling you, you better get in there or call them today. Quali's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin. Here's the number. Call Bruce. Hey, Bruce, I was listening to Zeb. Here's what he said. 733-4910. Quali's Electronics in Twin Falls. You give them a call today. I don't know if you heard about this or not, but this woman, this young upstart, Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I don't like this woman. I wouldn't even want to have her on my program because of a complete dislike and disdain for who she is and what she represents. She's 29 years old, has never done anything, never accomplished anything, and certainly does not have the right to ridicule and try to transition everybody to her way of thinking, which is completely stupid. But she did something that I find to be just really low class. Republican Representative Steve Scalise of Louisiana was threatened by some of Ocasio-Cortez's supporters, and some of these supporters said they need to snipe his you-know-what and kick his cane. And she was advocating and supporting this kind of possible attack against Republican Steve Scalise. I'll tell you what, Scalise said the following. Clearly, she ought to own up and just say, look, this isn't something that I condone. She doesn't, like you said, own this herself directly, but she shouldn't condone it either. And you shouldn't look the other way. We shouldn't tolerate either side, our friends or our enemies, in a political debate to encourage or incite violence against another person. How low can you go? Steve Scalise almost lost his life a year or so ago in that shooting on that baseball field back in Washington, practicing for a baseball game, because of a Democratic loon. And to try to get some of Ocasio-Cortez's supporters saying, snipe his blank and kick his cane and go after him, there's no room in our society for that kind of violence or wishes of ill will and hurt. And that's what we get with the liberal, stupid left. Callers are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. One other quick story I got to comment on. And you'd have thought that these bad guys would have maybe saw the light, literally, but they didn't. 4 criminals were shot after breaking into a gun owner's home in Yuma, Arizona last week. Now, listen to this. The Arizona resident awoke to discover 4 home intruders attempting to break into his house about 1 o'clock in the morning on January 3rd. This homeowner shot all 4 intruders using several rounds to do them in, and rightfully so. And, of course, now all the wannabes on the left are going to go after the homeowner and say, oh, he used excessive force and everything else. But in Arizona, the laws are geared to protect the homeowners. And believe me, the intruders ignored some warnings. I find out by checking into this story that an eyewitness who lives on the same street, almost right next door to the homeowner, reported that the homeowner who discharged the weapon warned the ill-fated intruders that he was home and he flickered his lights on and off inside the residence. The intruders, the burglars, ignored the warning, breaking in through the back door. They kicked it in, and they smashed the windows next to it, and the owner got out of bed and let them have it. And rightfully so. What are your thoughts about this? You know as well as I do, home invasion, a very big problem in this country. And the liberal loons on the left want to take our guns away so that all we can do is basically throw a box of spaghetti at them. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, just going back to the feminization of America. What's the best way to, somebody wants to invade and take over America? That is to denigrate the man in our country.
I agree.
Turn him into a bunch of wimps.
Yep.
Now, as far as that the man that shot the 4 guys, good for him.
I'm just glad he was such a good shot.
Somebody broke into my house, they just committed suicide.
I totally agree.
Look at it.
Totally agree. I'm just glad the guy was such a good shot.
Yeah. He didn't waste a lot of ammo by missing.
No, that's exactly right.
It only cost him maybe $1.50.
Well, $1.50, it won't even get you a haircut nowadays, but it sure saved him and his family, so I appreciate that, Tony. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Your thoughts, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what you have to say about it. You know, this push for the left to say you can't own a gun, and if you have a gun, you got to put your ammunition way over here on the north side of the house and keep your gun on the south side of the house and everything else. Oh, yeah. Sounds good to some that don't care, but those that maybe have protection or live in a gated community, whatever the case might be. But in Arizona, a person is legally able to stand their ground in the face of an attack and is under no obligation to retreat prior to using deadly force in self-defense. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
My suggestion to anybody trying to break into my house, make sure you have an ID on you so your next of kin can be notified.
I'm giggling just a little bit, but it's not funny. It's the truth. There is no way in God's green earth that I would ever consent to giving up the power of protecting me, my wife, and my home. And for these loons to say that they're going to take away and all we can have is a slingshot, guess again, buckwheat, because that train's not going down the tracks today.
Yep. Yeah, like in one school, they're going to give them hockey pucks to defend against somebody with a rifle.
I heard that, read that story, and I thought, is this where we've come in America, to where we're going to, after school, take history teachers and English teachers outside, out and back, on the lawn, and teach them how to hit a proposed target with a hockey puck? You gotta be kidding me.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And there's one thing these would-be criminals need to think about. There's nothing inside my house that's worth dying for.
But on the other side of that nickel, what's in my house, my wife and myself, it is worth dying for. I will let them know they have made a suicidal mistake.
Exactly. I lock my doors because I love who's inside the house, not because I hate who's outside.
That's right. Very well put. But you know as well as I do, that if the left gets back in power in the House, Senate, and in the Oval Office, look out, buddy. They're coming to knock on our door.
Exactly. And I feel this way. If they feel so strong about gun control and they don't want guns in the house, let them put signs outside their house. This house is a gun-free zone.
Well, it's like John Zemerick said yesterday. If you believe in that kind of idiocy, take the hinges off the door, take the door off the hinges, and then let everybody come on in. It's party time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with the leaving comment, you know you might be a redneck if you hid your wife's Christmas present in the oven.
I'm not going to go there. My wife's a great cook, and let me tell you, I appreciate her. Hey, I got to run, buddy. Thank you so much.
Okay. God bless.
All right, take care. We're going to send it over to Wheels right now and be in a few minutes with Ryan Morrow. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
You know, every day in my office, I probably get at least 50 to 60 or more inquiries about various people that would like to have somebody else come on the program, talk about various subjects, etc. And I kind of go through them and pick out the ones I want, the ones that are the most prominent for what's going on in the news today, etc. Well, last week I was going through this pile, literally this pile of all these papers to choose some of the guests, and I came upon a name that's been on my program many, many times in the past, and I have the utmost respect for him, and I was dumbfounded as to his new ventures. Wheels?
I was just going to say, I'm still trying to get him on the phone line.
Well, keep trying. Don't talk to me. Talk to him. Thank you.
You, sir.
All right, appreciate it. And it's Ryan Morrow, and we're going to be talking to him in just a few minutes. Hopefully, we can get him on the air. After that build-up, there we go. Now we can't find him, but hopefully he'll be there in just a moment. Calls are welcome. While we're waiting, this happened, what was it, yesterday or the day before? And we'd love to hear from you at 436-2244, 866-927-4587. Hopefully Wheels will have some good luck and let us know that he's on the air. Anything yet?
No, I've still not got any.
Have you tried both numbers that I gave you?
Yes, I have.
There's a call coming in. Let's take that call quickly. And hopefully then you can get a hold of Ryan. And good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb, this morning. How are you doing?
Well, for heaven's sakes, a voice from historical past.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I've got a real quick comment, Zeb. The fact, I live in Salmon, and there's the Salmon Chalice National Forest is going through their revision plan. They haven't done one since the late 1980s. And part of the revision plan deals with the wild and scenic rivers. They're grossly talking of expanding even intermittent streams that could fall under the wild and scenic rivers. And they also have vast areas that are in close proximity to salmon, Ledor, Chalice, that they're also studying as two different types of wilderness studies. One is a focal wilderness study, and the other one is just our focal wilderness evaluation. And the other one is in yellow on their maps, and it's in wilderness evaluation. And, it's just a gross overstep of government. And, you get the NGOs involved that are trying to put people that I deal with every day out of business, the cattle ranchers, and people that make their money off natural resources. And anyways, what's really disturbing to me, Zeb, is that Chuck Marks is the forest supervisor, and he has the power, with the stroke of his pen, to put thousands of acres of land that's close proximity to those communities in de facto wilderness, which could take decades before Congress acts on it, and during that time would be managed as de facto wilderness.
All right, now stop for a minute, Monty. Don't go on too much, because I've got some questions right there. I'm thinking that this issue could really have an impact, and tell me where I'm wrong or tell me where I'm right. This issue could really have an impact on private land ownership bordering this land. Is that right?
Absolutely, Zeb. And in part, right across the river from our house is part of the area that is being considered as in the wilderness focal study. And you don't have fire control in many places on wilderness areas. And so what happens when that fire comes over Bald Mountain and comes down toward the city of Salmon, which a lot of it sits above town, and even at our place, if there's flying embers, we have an asphalt roof, that could affect our private property as well. Mm-hmm. And then there's a buffer zone also that's around the wilderness area that a bureaucrat, can dictate how far that buffer zone is from the actual wilderness boundary.
Well, how bad is the situation right now? I'm not trying to hurry you along, but I'm waiting for my guest that was scheduled for this time slot. But what can people do? And on the other side, is the other side listening at all? Are they being at least lending an ear to find out about the complaints?
They're having their meetings. My impression is they're probably going to do whatever they want. And, they're the keepers of the king's forest, and the rest of us are just peasants in the community in those areas.
So basically, and again, I'm paraphrasing here a little bit because I'm not understanding the entirety of the situation, Monty, but I would assume that as a property owner, if you've lived there for a while and then all of a sudden maybe circumstances change and you might have to relocate, sell the property and go to another location, boy, you're kind of hung out on a limb with really a decrease in property values because of what's happening, correct?
Right. And one other thing, and then I'll let you go, Zeb, but they could go to Lemhi County or Lemhi Custer Grassroots Advisory and go to their website. Dolores Ivy from Chalice manages that, done a great job. and you can probably on that website see what they're proposing. And this is in areas where there's the two-track roads, fences, water troughs. It's a broad sweep of the brush, and the forest supervisor has tremendous power.
Absolutely. I would appreciate it if you would send me some information on this, keep me abreast of what's happening. On the other side of that nickel, since you left this part of the country and moved up there, how you been?
Well, life's good. Some days are better than others, and we've had a really mild winter, and Diane's back at the clinic, so life's good.
All right. Well, listen, I'll look forward to hearing from you on this, Monty, and I'll keep informed and find out more. Thank you very much.
All right. You have a good day.
All right, sir. Thank you. You know, if there's anything I can't stand, it's when property owners seem to basically get stepped on. And, well, you can't do this. Well, you can't do that. Well, if you do this, we're going to come after you, all this kind of stuff. I just got a text from my good old buddy, Itty Bitty Buddy, over at the station, and we have found the lost man. He has now been abducted. Good morning to my old friend, Ryan Morrow. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me on.
You know, I got to tell you, I gave you a great introduction about 10 minutes ago, thinking you were on the line and ready to go, and I said that I've been going through all these papers that I get literally almost hundreds every day about potential guests, and I saw your name connected to a documentary, and I thought, is this the same guy that I've had on the air talking about terrorism? What's going on in your life, Ryan Morrow?
So I've had a secret project going on the past 2 years where I was covertly filming in Saudi Arabia. That's part of the reason I haven't been as available. And basically I was researching this theory that the real Mount Sinai, where Moses got the Ten Commandments, is located in Saudi Arabia. So the story of the Exodus would therefore be that the enslaved Hebrews and Moses fled Egypt into northwestern Saudi Arabia. And this is a theory that really was born out of the fact that the academic consensus is that the Exodus story never happened. Or if it happened, it's like 99% exaggerated because they never found any evidence at where they thought Mount Sinai was in modern-day Egypt. But a handful of people came up with this other theory, and they started trying to go to these areas of Saudi Arabia where they thought the story might have actually happened, and they all got arrested. They all had their evidence confiscated, and so you only had, in the forms of evidence, some grainy photos and videos from the early 1990s, the late 1980s, that really wasn't convincing to anybody, and no one was willing to really go to Saudi Arabia to try to find out if this was true. And a bit of a miracle happened, and I was given the opportunity to go, and I'm one of a very small number of people to actually set foot in these places, and it's true. You follow the Bible like a treasure map in this area of Saudi Arabia, and you run into evidence of, like, everything that the Exodus talks about.
Oh, my goodness. Ryan, we've known each other for a long time, but we haven't really talked about personal matters of religion and faith on various occasions. But I will say this. I am absolutely a student of the Bible. I love the Bible and all of its stories about what happened with Exodus, the parting of the Red Sea, everything. And to hear you say that you've been there and were looking for the real Mount Sinai, holy moly, have you got my interest up. How in the world did you ever get involved in this?
It was shortly after I became a Christian, because I didn't grow up going to church, like, ever. Not a Christian household. A little spiritual, but not Christian. And so once I became a Christian, I was like barely a teenager, and it was a big problem, the fact that every source I read said there was no evidence that the Exodus happened. So how would I believe in any of this if the Exodus didn't happen? And so that's how I heard about this alternative theory, and it really just stirred my heart, and even though I wasn't fully convinced of it, it never left my mind. Never left my mind. And it just bugged me. And then finally 2 years ago was when, through a series of miraculous coincidences, I had a shot at possibly getting into the country and going to these areas that the Saudis fence off, that they patrol with police, that are really kind of dangerous to try to go to, And I brought in a drone. I went in with cameras and got just really stunning footage and showed how if you use the Book of Exodus like a treasure map, because there's little details that people forget, where they'll say they moved east, they moved south, they camped by the water, they camped over here, and it doesn't really make sense if you don't know where they're talking about. But if you find the right spot for all this, it all makes total sense. So, for example, in front of what we think is the real Mount Sinai, you can see very clearly evidence of bull worship that matches the story of the golden calf.
Oh, my.
Moses goes up on the mountain, and then some of his followers start worshiping golden calf, and then he comes in and destroys it. And you can see petroglyphs of people worshiping cows right in front of the mountain. So he would see it as he was coming down. And that's just one piece of evidence that you can see. The video's on YouTube called Finding the Mountain of Moses, and it's at about, I think it's at 360,000 views or something like that now.
Oh, my goodness. You know, I am just absolutely excited to learn a lot more about this, and I've got 1,000 questions, but I don't have 1,000 minutes. Let me ask you this, Ryan. What about the filming of this documentary? I mean, how do you go about starting a start, a stop, all the information in between, the editing and everything else? I mean, have you done this before?
Nope. I am immensely unqualified to do this, which I guess is part of the miracle of it happening. And I still don't really get why. I mean, besides the fact that I really want to go, and it was a dream of mine to go, but never a goal, because I said, how in the world am I going to get into Saudi Arabia, where tourism is banned, and get to the sites that have fences and police preventing you from going in? How's that going to happen? But it happened, and I worked with really just some volunteer editors, some that I basically blew apart my personal savings on, and it all came together. And Glenn Beck promoted it. He called the film a game changer for mankind. So you're going to want to check it out on YouTube, because that's quite an endorsement from Glenn Beck.
Well, now, tell me this. Now, the documentary, when's it going to be released, and how can my audience see it?
You can see it right now. You go right onto YouTube and just search Finding the Mountain of Moses or something close to it, and it'll pop right up.
Oh, my goodness. You mentioned that it was dangerous, and you mentioned that a lot of the areas were banned. Why would the government want to be so seclusive in not providing any information regarding the biblical prophecies?
What's amazing is that the Saudis, at least some of these archaeological sites that we think are related to Moses, they have signs saying these are important archaeological sites, and if you trespass on them, then you could be thrown in jail. There'll be severe consequences. So they acknowledge that these are very important sites, but they won't say what they are. And I think that's because of the geopolitical consequences, because you have just these holy sites that are so important to the three Abrahamic religions in the middle of northwestern Saudi Arabia. Like, that's pretty explosive. But I also talked to a former jihadist friend of mine who knew about this. Like, very few people knew this existed, but he knew because he hung out with associates of Osama bin Laden. And he's like, yeah, we all knew about it, but we agree that it should be covered up, that outsiders shouldn't be allowed in, because according to Sharia law, anything, including a holy site, even an Islamic holy site, if it were to become a place of idolatry, if people go there and they start worshiping the mountains, if they start taking things and selling them, saying that they're healing diseases, anything like that, then they have to destroy the area. So from their perspective, they're doing what God wants them to do by covering it up, because that preserves it and stops it from becoming a place of idolatry.
Wow. I am so jealous of this activity that you were a part of. I've got to ask you this question. While you were doing the research and while you were doing the filming, and I'm sure it had to be really laborious every day to go out there in the desert, etc., what was the most surprising thing that you learned or found out about that you sat back and said, holy cow?
I said that at every stop along the route for the Exodus, in terms of how visually stunning it is, because everything that's described in the book of Exodus, if we have the right spot, is just bigger and more visually dramatic. And there's all sorts of little things, little details in the book of Exodus that you don't think of that make sense, like the plain where the Israelites would have camped in front of the mountain. There's a mountainous barrier around it. So it forms like an amphitheater. And then in front of the mountain, it's almost like a stage. And you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like, you drive to it, and all of a sudden it opens up, and you're like, that does make sense. God would want them somewhere where they would be protected by mountains on all sides. But I would say the most surprising thing would be how Saudis just came up to us over and over again, and one of the first things they'd say was, did you know Moses was here? Did you know that the Yahud, which means the Jews, were here? And they would say it with such pride. And they'd be like, we can show you. Let's show you on Google Maps. And so everyone over there knows that that is where the Exodus took place. They're proud of it. They want to brag about it and show you where it all took place. But because Saudi Arabia is a theocracy, and because the West has been so stuck on this traditional Mount Sinai site, like we have everything already figured out, no one's learned about this. But over there, it's like pointing to the McDonald's down the street.
Oh, my goodness. Ryan, I'm almost out of time, but you got to promise me you'll come back and talk about this more. But I got to ask you this last question. After going through this adventure and finding out about all the parameters of the Bible in Exodus coming true and to fruition, is there another story that you want to be a part of and try to prove to all of mankind?
Who knows? Right now, my focus is all on Mount Sinai and the Exodus story, because there's a lot of stuff that we haven't released. There are leads to other inscriptions and places that I want to explore. No one has brought a shovel to this place. I mean, it's completely unexplored. So everything that's in the video that's stunning, that's all at the surface level. So what I'm trying to do is pressure/cooperate with the Saudis to preserve these areas, because right now construction is happening, and we've got to stop that. And if we can stop the construction around these sites, then maybe we can start digging and finding stuff, because the Saudis have been against archaeology overall for so long that when I was there, it was a big deal that they had their first ever International Archaeological Convention.
Wow.
So who knows what else is just waiting there to be found.
Okay, once again, before I let you go, tell my audience how they can really watch and marvel at this documentary called The Real Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, just go to YouTube and type in Finding the Mountain of Moses. That's the name of it. And be sure to share it with your friends and family. And it's also got the main website for our information on the video, so you really only need to know about the video itself.
You are a man of many talents, and I'm proud to know you, and please come back soon in the future. I'm going to take a look at it, watch it, and invite you back. Ryan Morrow, God bless you, and I mean that, and please come back soon.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir. I've known that man for a long time. He's been on the program numerous times in regards to, he is one of the top terrorist investigators in this country. And to be a part of this, going over to Saudi Arabia to check out the real Mount Sinai, whoa. That just gives me chills. And it's also giving me chills that if I don't hurry up and get the weather forecast, Wheels is going to go zab. Hey, Scarrow's Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Delicious meats, all kinds of different meats. You know, all the brats and the sausages and the bacon and the tri-tips and the prime ribs and the pork ribs. Oh, it goes on and on. Delicious meats from the best, Scarrow's Meats. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Wednesday. We're expecting mostly cloudy skies for today. Just a slight breeze. We could see gusts as high as 20 miles an hour out of the east. Other than that, expecting a high of 41. Tonight, we do have a slight chance of rain, possible snow showers in the overnight hours, especially up in the higher elevations. Cloudy skies with a low of 29. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 40 with an overnight low of 24 for Thursday night. By Friday, mostly sunny skies with a high of 35. And for the weekend, mostly sunny. Highs are going to be in the low to mid 30s. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew. Wonderful people. They've been here for a long time, serving us with the best of meats. Absolutely. Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Holy cow, I want to say a big shout out and thank you to our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. They open the doors early in the morning, and boy, do they provide service to you with the best in tires, all the different sizes and tread designs, everything for your cars, pickups, and SUVs. And don't forget, too, they've got the best in brake service. Highly trained brake technicians, front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. They really care. Really care about your driving safety. Stop in today and see the best. And that's, of course, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Yes, sir, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Holy cow, tomorrow's Thursday already, and we've got Rita Ramsey coming on the program, and we're going to have an interview, I believe. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I think Superintendent Jim Shank is going to be on the program tomorrow. I'll have to check with Debbie to make sure on that. And then we're going to have, I believe, Dr. Gerard Lamero. Wow, full plate tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. Tune in, 8:06, we'll be here. K-Bar 12:30 a.m. or stream live on the internet, zebbell.com, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the world needs more cowboys. See you tomorrow morning.